save us all.
This is Behemoth by the developer Skydance, and it was released on the 5th of December 2024. About the game. The story is simple. There is a curse going about and you happen to have it. So rather than sit on your ass and take it, you're out there ready to slay those mighty behemoths, which is the only way to free everyone of this curse, including yourself. Levels and size. The size of this game is impressive and it has some absolutely stunning backdrops. There were a number of occasions where I just stood still for a minute just to look at the sceneries. You actually feel like you are going to cover some distance in this game. There are some real wow moments. Mechanics. Now, I don't really like the hand mechanics on climbing or touching stuff. It somehow looks a little odd, it just doesn't feel natural. The scenery looks fantastic, but I reckon it could do with some more interactive stuff. Then there's knocking fences with just a tiny hit and the whole thing shatters. When you hit a fence, it should at least take a few swings of your sword before it falls to pieces. The audio could do with some more balancing out, like the instructions I was given to bring down the first behemoth I missed because I was in battle and she spoke the instructions while there was too much battle noise happening. There were also a couple of occasions where she would speak over herself but saying two different sentences. Weapons. There are daggers which you can throw, then many types of swords, bows and arrows, a few types of axes, and then shields. You have 4 slots to put weapons in, and you can turn that into 8 slots by long pressing the Y or B button. You also got to be careful when returning your weapons to a slot, because if you miss that slot, you will drop that weapon. That is, until you collect those special weapons, which will auto-return to your slot after a few seconds. You can also upgrade those special weapons on an anvil block. There is also a temporary strength boost, which allows you to punch out walls or throw enemies. Give some extra oomph in your sword swings that kills enemies easily. Leveling up options. You can level up by collecting ore resources. I'm a little mixed up about the leveling up. I feel it could have just been done without having to put your sword on an anvil and select what you want to update, then add the resource ore and hammer away. I think it could have just been simplified by collecting the resource ore and then selecting what you would like to update and skip the whole actually making it process. Feels a bit of a waste of time to me. I would have also liked to have seen more options in upgrading of weapons, maybe even some nice colour choices. There are also things hidden around the map which you can crush that'll upgrade stuff like your health or stamina. Enemies and bosses. Combat is pretty well balanced. There are enemies that are simple and enemies that'll take a few hits. And battling against the behemoths can be tricky but not impossible. But there is a good mix of enemies in here. I particularly enjoyed the combat where you hide behind cover and use your arrows against other enemies shooting back at you. The behemoths battles are just epic. Being on the back of a giant flying bat thingy was just an incredible experience in VR. Puzzles. Puzzles are pretty standard. Pull levers, move boxes on pressure pads, shoot targets with your bow and arrow. It's okay, just feels a bit samey 3 hours in. I feel like this is where they really missed the target. Game menus. Menus are good, plenty of options here to adjust your game to how you like it, including options for gameplay, controls, audio controls and language. Then you can choose to play campaign or arena mode, which is going up against waves of enemies. In the game, on your chest, you can pull out a scroll, which is going to show things like maps and how many collectibles you've collected in each section, and your strength perks and your inventory. Controls. Controls are going to take a minute to get used to. There are many of them, and you will often be required to use a combination of buttons, like when pressing fire to use your grapple hook and then immediately afterwards having to push Y button to go up the grapple wire, or X to go down the grapple wire. Or maybe you will be using both grip buttons to be pulling in that wire to rip off a door on the wall or something. It's a good system what they have done, but you're going to have to stop and think about your button choices at times. My thoughts. This is a tricky game to review. Some YouTubers are calling it a game changer, and don't get me wrong, it's a great game, but I've seen nothing in this that is a game changer. I think if this is your first game in VR, then you would be super impressed. But for those of you that have been playing VR for years and have played games such as The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, or Asgard's Wrath 2 or Batman, then Behemoth is just a great game. I enjoyed the combat of this game, particularly against those giant gods, but I wish the enemies would lose limbs if you strike a sword or arrow against their legs, or lose an arm, something that just makes it a little more humorous and fun. It has some great moments in this game, and playing it through is highly enjoyable, but I think there are many moments missed in this game, like the puzzles should have been way more varied. But to be fair, apart from some of the mechanics, that's my only negative about this game. And of course, the main thing being not nearly enough behemoths in the game. But overall, this is a fun adventure. So I'm going to mark Behemoth a 9.2 stars. Now please hit that like button if you found my video helpful, then come be part of this community and hit subscribe, and let's all support one another in our gaming experiences. Thanks guys, and happy gaming.